What is going on, everyone? How you guys doing tonight? Just in case you guys aren't aware, we've been watching these protests. They call them protests, and I know I talk a lot about the riots that are taking place in cities like Portland and Seattle, and the fact that we're watching as these Democrat politicians continue to give cover to these riots that are taking place. First of all, they call them protests, which, if anyone who's seen the actual footage of what's taking place in a lot of these cities knows, these are not protests by any stretch. And second of all, they're condemning the efforts that the president's using to... Sorry, guys. Mrs. Millennial Conservative is down here telling me to take it down a notch. Apparently, I'm too loud. But nonetheless, we're watching the Democrats give cover to the civil unrest that's taking place around the country. And there's one aspect of this that many news outlets are completely forgetting to even mention. And that is the fact that if you go back, I believe it was back in April, before Biden was deemed the Democrat nominee for president, if you go to James O'Keefe, his website, Project Veritas, he did some extensive undercover work showing how the Bernie supporters felt about the situation in the Democrat Party, how they felt about the establishment Democrats running the party, and what they intended to do if Bernie didn't get the nomination. And sure enough, Bernie didn't get the nomination. The Democrats basically screwed him over again, like they did with Hillary when Bernie was going up against Hillary back for the 2016 election. And they got Biden in there. Biden is lucky if he knows what day it is half the time, and frankly, feel kind of bad for the guy because you almost feel like he doesn't even want to do it. He's just kind of being propped up there. And frankly, I really truly believe that there's another ulterior motive at play here. I truly believe that he's going to bow out of the race at some point, and we might see someone like Hillary Clinton step up again, or Michelle Obama. I think there's a very good possibility that we could see a Michelle Obama-Hillary Clinton ticket, frankly, because it covers all the diversity quotas that the Democrats always need to fill. They don't care so much about quality of the candidate. They look more at the diversity quotas that they need to fill. And, obviously Michelle Obama is black, and both of them are females. So if anyone was to try to speak out against them, the Democrats are going to come back at him and call him sexist and racist, and that's their MO. It's not about the issues. It's not about debating what's really going on. It's not about exposing the fact that these people want to push socialism in this country. They automatically run to the cop-outs like the racist card and the sexist card. But that's neither here nor there right now. We have these leftists. They told us their game plan back in April. And again, if you go to Project Veritas website, you can see the videos. You can see exactly what their plan was. And it talks here. Project Veritas Bernie campaign predicts violence at DNC, police will get fucking beaten. So they're talking about this is back in January. So this goes back all the way to January, that they were already talking about going after the cops at the DNC. And this is actually kind of funny because now we're seeing a lot of the police back out of trying to provide security for the for the convention and whatnot, whatever they decide to do. If they even do a live convention, however they do it. But we're watching now as a lot of these police are saying, look, we're not going to show up and try and provide security for anything that has anything to do with these Democrats, because they're all coming out largely, again, not just against the police, they're condemning the police. You know, you have these people in Black Lives Matter rallies running around with signs with the acronym ACAB. And I'm not sure if, in case you guys don't know what ACAB stands for in the acronym that they use, it stands for All Cops Are Bastards. And that's what they're pushing right now. So I'm also want to let you guys know that when I do these videos, I'm streaming live here on my Periscope channel through Twitter, but I'm also going to share this video to my YouTube channel, and I will provide all the links of everything I'm talking about. I think you're missing the point. Demonstrations about Black Lives Matter. I don't think I'm missing the point anymore. You know, I've said in the past, I'll give it to you, I'll give it to them, that Black Lives Matter in its infancy, when it first started, might have had the right message. You know, they might have had the right agenda. They really wanted to see some sort of reform, some police reform. They wanted to see, you know, black people be treated better. Sure, absolutely. That's something we can all get behind. But I don't see any of them coming out now condemning the fact that the Black Lives Matter movement has been hijacked by the Marxist left. You have leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement openly saying we need to burn down the system. But again, Project Veritas did these videos back in April, I believe it was, and there's articles going all the way back to January talking about how, oh, I'm sorry, this is actually video from January, going back and talking about how they intended to, let's see here, there was a tweet from James O'Keefe back in January, and it says, breaking, Bernie Sanders, quote, free education policies to, quote, teach you how not to be effing Nazis. There is a reason Stalin had gulags. Expect violent reaction for speech. If Bernie doesn't get nomination, Milwaukee will burn. So they're talking about burning down the cities back in January. So think about this. This is why these cities are burning right now. This is what this was. They gave us their MO. They gave us their calling card. They told us what they were going to do back in January. And now it's coming true. And now you see these Democrat politicians and these Democrat, you know, local elected officials in many of the city councils. They're going in and they're handcuffing the police. They're taking away the police ability to even defend themselves, let alone try to implement law and order so the citizens of those cities can actually operate their businesses, live in their homes. They can actually go to and from their own homes. Think about the people that are in those cities right now where they look outside and all they see is graffiti, fireworks being shot off, and confrontations with police. And when the police don't show up, these people are burning down cities. They're burning down buildings. They were trying to light the federal building on fire in Portland, Oregon. And that's why federal law enforcement officials are being deployed to these cities. They're not going there to try and restore law and order. They're going there simply to try and defend. They're going there to simply try and defend the federal buildings. That's the extent of their responsibilities right now. And unless these local elected officials want to call in help from the federal government, they're on their own. And Trump has made that pretty clear. It's not Trump's stormtroopers, as Pelosi was trying to say. It's not that. He's not sending them in to just start wreaking havoc. And the media is playing you guys. The media is playing you. They're not taking over. They are not taking over. Democrats want chaos. Been saying it for a while. Police need to follow oath. Following unlawful orders won't help them. Yeah, exactly. You know, the police they take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. They don't take an oath to uphold whatever some, Democrat mayor decides whatever decrees they like to put in place. There was actually a video, I don't know if you guys saw a while back, where a police officer, I believe it was in Washington State, he did a video talking about how he intends to uphold and defend the Constitution, and he will not follow unlawful orders. And he got fired for it. They let him go from that police force, because he talked about upholding and defending the Constitution over the unlawful orders that he was being given. So let's see what we got here. Not all California. I can't read this. Not all Californians and Oregonians are communists, but I hear you. Yeah, well, reach it out to all you guys in California and Oregon. You know, you guys need to step up. And this goes back to what, like, this is why local elections are so important, because these locally elected officials are the ones that they're the ones destroying the cities. They're paving the way for these anarchists to come in. And yes, I will agree 100% that a lot of what's going on, you know, you see peaceful protesters. A lot of them are peaceful. I will give it to you. I'm sure there's a lot of peaceful protesters in a lot of these cities. But at the same time, they're not calling out. They refuse to call out the anarchists. We do need to step up. It's not easy when the law isn't. I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with you guys too, 100%. Because, you know, if you step up, and that's another issue that we deal with, is the fact that you get some conservatives that want to step up and they want to start defending their. Look what happened in St. Louis. The McCloskey couple, you know, that the mob broke down the gate and went into their private gated community and started trying to cause a ruckus. And they came out and stood on their own porch and defended their own property. Said, "Look, you guys are going to start shit. You're going to have a problem." And what happened? You got some overzealous prosecutor in St. Louis who just happens to be running for re-election, who decided to try to convict these people of some crime, despite the fact that they were not breaking any laws. Trump will crush these clowns. I'm not even about Trump crushing the clowns at this point. I'm about Trump knows what's going on. Trump's playing the game. He knows. He knows that the Democrats are trying to get him to overreact. They want Trump to have an itchy trigger finger. They want him to start dropping all these feds in there, start really wreaking havoc, so they can say that he's some sort of tyrant. But he knows their game. He knows what they're doing, and he's letting the Democrats' cities destroy themselves. He's only sending in the federal agents to try and protect the federal buildings and any kind of federal property. Other than that, he's letting these Democrat elected officials fall flat on their face. Look what happened to Wheeler in Portland. 3%ers to control Louisville. We Patriots stand ready. Yeah, absolutely. I firmly believe that if it really comes down to it, that the Patriots, they know what's going on. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making mistakes. Exactly. It's exactly what's going on right now. The Democrats they're falling flat on their face, and people are waking up. People are waking up and realizing that this is the Democrat agenda. This is what life is going to look like if we end up in a Democrat-run government. Crooked officials can only enforce crooked edicts if police do their bidding. Harsh but true. Watch what just happened near Springfield, Oregon. A chick got clocked by a good cop. And they're looking for that. They're looking for that moment that they can use. Again, it's that viral video moment that they want to use to try to make the cops look bad. They're putting these cops in horrible situations right now. They're putting them in absolutely horrible situations. Cops are getting injured left and right. You got cops I think it was in Oregon, where they were shining lasers into some of these cops' eyes, into some of the federal agents' eyes. And some of these guys, I heard some of these guys actually were blinded by what was going on. You got cops getting injured left and right just for trying to do their jobs. But Girl that tried shooting a cop even though she was outnumbered 3-1. Well, you know, she shot the cop, then that's a different story. Frank Legend, what's going on, man? How are you? But yeah, they're trying to set up a situation. You too, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, Frank. Police are between a rock and a hard place. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I was saying, you know, it goes back to the idea that the Democrats, this is part of the Marxist socialist agenda. They want to they talk about burning down the system. And this is what Black Lives Matter has become. It's become a movement to incite violence, and they said flat out they're going to burn down the system if they don't get their way. And this all, I believe that this all ties back, like I was saying, to the Bernie bros back in early this year when they were talking about how if Sanders does not get the Democrat nomination, that cities are going to burn. And sure enough, cities are burning. Democrats are either too scared to do anything about it, or they're complicit in it. I truly believe that they're complicit in it. I mean, you look at what's going on here in New York City, too. I live in Jersey, right outside New York City. And you got Mayor Bill de Blasio, who they reallocated $1 billion from the police force in New York City. And they were talking about putting it towards, like, social workers and trying to... I don't even know where all the money was going to go, but they were talking about putting it towards something like a social worker type program where you're going to have a social worker come into a situation where somebody could possibly be violent and they're not going to have any way of defending themselves or protecting the people around them. That's really going to work out well. Not to mention the fact that the way de Blasio is treating the police in the city, there have been more resignations. There have been more people leaving that police force than probably ever before. So, while we watch these riots take place, it's important to remember that this is all part of the plan. The Democrats, they have nothing left at this point. They have nothing left. They don't have any real principles to stand on. They have no principles whatsoever. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the rule of law. They don't believe in securing this country. They don't believe in enforcing a border. And they're pushing the COVID agenda. And at the same time, they're pushing the riots, calling them peaceful protesters, which they're absolutely not even close to being peaceful protesters. And they are pushing this agenda, and they're going to continue to push this agenda all the way through November. Hydroxychloroquine. Yep, absolutely. Hydroxychloroquine. I don't know if you guys saw the video, too, with the doctors. I think it was like a 27-minute video where a bunch of doctors came on and talked about how hydroxychloroquine works. And it's funny because when the hydroxychloroquine was first brought about, when COVID started, they were like, okay, this looks promising. You know, this looks like it might work, and they were kind of pushing it, and they were getting on board with hydroxychloroquine. The minute that the president said, hey, you know, hydroxychloroquine could very well be a very effective therapeutic in treating COVID, oh my gosh, the media went apeshit. They said it's going to kill everybody. They said nobody can take hydroxychloroquine. You know, it's bad for your heart. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. And meanwhile, this drug has been around for, 40, 50 years. They use it to treat rheumatoid arthritis, and they use it to treat as a treatment for malaria. And suddenly it's going to kill everyone. So that's it. Their agenda is everything that they're doing right now is geared to try to keep Trump from getting reelected come November. And that's it. That's the end of that's their end game at this point. Their end game is to get Trump out of office and to make it so that he doesn't get reelected in November. And they're going to continue pushing the idea of setting up these riots and these peaceful protests around the country. And it's going to happen through the rest of the summer all the way up until November. So we need to keep our eyes open and realize what's really going on right now and expose these Democrats, the frauds, the fact that they're with these rioters and they're condoning this, and the riots are simply anarchists who have become the militant wing of the Democrat Party, and that's what's going on right now. That is exactly what's going on. So keep that in mind, guys, as you watch all this news play out, as you watch these peaceful protests unfold over the next few months. And like I was saying, if you guys just look up Project Veritas, you can see some of the videos about what the Bernie Bros were planning on doing and what they were threatening to do. And you can see how it's actually coming to fruition. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.